morning, horrific fans. I am Jay of Many Hats, hatless today because it is awfully warm in central Northern California. Welcome to day 2 of Halfway to Halloween. If you were just watching the Higby Horror Haunts, I'm excited about everything they were talking about. But more so, I'm excited to be able to talk to the one and only, the finest example of the term Scream Queen I have ever met, Brooke Lewis Bellas.
Jay, darling Jay, and the Horrific Network. Thank you for having me back for Halfway to Halloween yet again. Thank you for allowing me and inviting me to play in your horror family for so many years. And I real quickly have to do 2 quick shout outs. One, I'm wearing my firefighter wifey sweatshirt that's actually in the photo. A, because I'm not feeling well today, which we can cover in a second. But B, I want to always acknowledge, thank, and honor our Sacramento and Northern California families. They are truly part of my family now, since my husband, Mark, is a retired fire chief from Northern California and moved down to crazy Hollywood for this crazy actress. So half of our family, and shout out to all the incredible firefighters up north. We love you. Thank you for what you do all the time and for being such a wonderful part of our lives. And so Sacramento is like a second or third or fifth home to me at this point, from Philly, New York, Jersey. I mean, I'm a mess, but there's that. I'm also
lots of homes.
Yes, lots of homes, lots of history, which is very crazy and colorful, which adds to the crazy of them. We won't go too much about it, but you guys, we were all tweeting out, and I joked, I said, call me Hitchcock Jr. because I've got such tremendous vertigo. But we said too off air before Jay and the crew and I were talking, we're like, well, if I vomit on air and get too dizzy, maybe it'll go viral. So there you go. So to all the horror fans, please bear with me. It's been, listen, and I don't share a lot of personal stuff on air and in the public, you know that. I try to keep it positive and professional, but on a human side, for anyone who has been through illness in the last couple of years, we all know so many, and who has had COVID. And my husband and I had COVID early on in 2020, and I had some crazy neurological viral stuff since college, since I almost died from the chickenpox. So it flared up a bunch of weird stuff. And I've been so blessed, which Jay's going to cover all my projects. But 2 months ago, I went to do a film for the first time, one day on set, first time, and got so sick again with who knows what. And it triggered. So the last 2 months, I've been dealing with a lot of neurological weird stuff again. Just weird, and a lot of equilibrium imbalance, vertigo. So that's what's going on, everyone. So I've been a little MIA, but there was no way I was not participating today. You're my family, you guys. I love you so much. You support my career. I'm going to cry. And so I am here for all of you, for all the fans. So I love you all. Thank you.
Well, getting to talk to you is always a highlight of my day, and so I'm very glad you are here with us. I'm sorry that you are not feeling well, and I hope your recovery happens soon. But the joy of getting to talk to you is, you at even 80% of feeling great is better than some people's 115. So you are still all about the fans and the work, and it's amazing the work ethic that you have, as far as, no, I'm gonna still be here when feeling the way that you are, and I applaud you for doing that. Thank you. That is the definition of the show must go on, and that's amazing.
The show must go on. Thank you for that acknowledgement, Jay. And I know that you and I always have a special connection, whether it's personally, professionally. We have a connection with film and industry, and so I just want to say a continuation of what you just said real quickly is, and we can go on, which will segue to the stuff. Like, I literally, with my immune system, have been quarantined for the most part since the pandemic started. And yet, and I say this not to be arrogant anyway, but to be very humble and share for any viewers watching, whether you're horror fans, whether you're film and TV fans, whether you just are an artist of any kind, to inspire you. I have, the old stupid cliche, like you make, lemonade out of lemons. Like, I feel like I've had the last 2.5 years have just been lemons, but I've chosen, because I'm a psycho and I'm a tenacious go-getter, because I don't know any other way. And it's probably a detriment to my own physical and mental well-being. But I said, I'm not going to let this pandemic break me. I'm not going to let my health crises break me. I'm going to forge ahead and be tenacious and figure out a new way of doing things. That's a new way for me. It's not for everyone. So I am so blessed, but I've worked really hard for it. Like you said, to have created and been a part of, and let me also acknowledge it's an army. This industry takes an army to create one little project. So I've been blessed to be affiliated because of many, many years with so many production companies and writer, director, producers that we have made the most obscure, bizarre projects work during this crazy pandemic. And I'm so proud. I'm so blessed. So it's always, my health is shit, but excuse my French, but my career has been amazing. And I've been doing a ton of voiceover, like really cool audio animation,
Wonderful.
right? During pandemic from home. So we'll talk, and green screen acting. It's cuckoo birds, but we'll get into it.
Well, and those are things, exactly what you're talking about there. Those are things that I like to look on the positive side of everything, even something as stupid as a global pandemic. I like to look on that bright side, and the bright side of talented individuals such as yourself finding another outlet to experience and share with us your art, whether that be voiceover acting or whether that be something like a green screen or countless other things. I know that you've written in the past. Is that something else? Right out the gate, I want to ask you that. I am a writer myself, so I adore whenever I see that somebody who is so talented, such as yourself, in one aspect has had credits for another. Is that something that you're ever going to look back towards?
Thank you for asking that. And you know how honest I am. So for me, and I authored my Ms. Vampy book. I authored my coaching from a Professor Hot Mess book. I've written, I was one of a few writers on Vamp It Out, my Ms. Vampy TV show for teen girls. That said, I am grateful that I think I have a minuscule amount of talent in that arena, but it is not my inspiration. It's not what lights me up inside. I also respect, and I want the listeners and viewers to really hear this. And I've said it before, I respect the other professions so greatly. Like, there's a part of me, and I've attempted to direct before, it doesn't inspire me either. And there's a part of me that I know I'm a decent director because I know how to direct other actors, but it's not my jam. So just like directing, writing, I respect those professions, and they are professions in my world. I look at them as professions, not hobbies. And so even though most people are doing it as hobbies nowadays, we can get into that later, and I will always be positive, but I'm always going to be truthful. So to me, I respect the profession so much. They are not my professions. My professions, I believe, are acting and producing. I do those for money. I do those for many years. I do them at a level, and I do them professionally. So I do not have the inspiration. However, let me address this with you quickly, and we'll get into projects later, but I want to shout out to my associate, Kurt Weiser. Kurt had cast me during the pandemic in a really cool web series. And we started chatting after that we shot that last summer, and we can get into it later. The title was Leave Quietly. That being said, we had such a connection, and I was working and learning and educating myself on how to do more of the audio stuff since I have a booth at home. So I'm getting really into the voiceovers, and I had signed during pandemic with a new voiceover agent, thankfully. And so I had a conversation in a meeting with Kurt a while back last year. And so he sent me a few of his pitches that he has had. So he's a writer, he's a professional writer. He sent me some pitches. I was so inspired, and our creative juices meshed in this arena. So back to what your question about writing, I don't fancy myself, a professional writer. However, we spent many, many months, and we just had a conversation about this. So for all of the creators watching, we spent many months developing. So as a producer, as Philly Chick Pictures, as an executive producer who raises financing, who oversees these projects for me, and as the lead actress in this beautiful audio drama thriller series titled A Voice in Violet, which is spectacular.
I
But
love
something
that
like,
title.
yes, right? A Voice in Violet. And let me just say this, and you're probably one of the first to hear it. It's still, if we're still in production. So not a lot of people have discussed it in the media yet, but this is how insane this turned into, but hold that thought 1 second. So as an overseer and someone who has a bit of knowledge of the writing and development process. So for all the filmmakers, all the audio people, doesn't matter when you're in development, like in Hollywood at the studios, it's like old school, you have a development phase. So I get to use my writer experience, knowledge, wisdom, what have you, and also my acting experience to take a writer and take a pitch and take a project and then have meetings after meetings where you're developing it together. So my writing experience comes into play in that arena to say, well, what about let's try the dialogue this way. Let's build the layers of the character this way. So I hope that answered your question. I admire you, professional writer, so much, but I do get to play in that world and I enjoy that. But real quickly, A Voice in Violet, audio drama series. I play the lead Violet with an ensemble cast. This is insane. Bronson Pinchot, yes, you heard me. Look at Jay's face. True Romance fans. No one even knows this yet.
I love Bronson Pinchot.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I got to shout out my managers, Bohemia Management, or cast director Allison Buck. I mean, so this has been in the works in pre-production development since last year. And so this is something, again, full audio drama thriller, like soapy, sexy series.
Yeah.
And wait, it's unreal. Nikki Blonsky, the star of Hairspray with John Travolta and Michelle Pfeiffer. Yes. Wilson Germain Heredia, who won the Tony for Rent on Broadway, who's my friend since I'm young, and he starred in Rent, and he was just in Tick, Tick, Boom. I mean, I don't even know where, like, it's insane. Eric Edabari, who's been my friend and associate since I moved to LA 20 years ago, who was in Too Fast, Too Furious, and Cellular, and everything, Narcos now. I mean, mind-blowing. And last but not least, who we just did all our recordings with virtually, remotely, he plays Nelson Lee from Stargirl on Netflix and Mulan. So this is like, thank you, Kenny. Oh, Kenny's, I'm starting to see oh my gosh. Oh, look at everyone who's visiting. Thank you so much.
Amazing people are just showing tons of love for you, Brooke. They adore you. So
I love you.
Again, so great that you are here.
I'm so sorry to all the friends and fans. I've been so MIA, and you know why now. Between health and between working, I've been pushing through 15-hour days, 7 days a week, and no one even understands. Jay, I know you get it. You get it. So I'm shutting up now and letting you take the floor, but I just had to share with excitement. So to develop a project like this with this level of talent has been a gift from the universe, God, higher power, during a really tough time.
Well, I want to say that I'm lucky enough that one of the acting professors that I've had in my life said that if you want to be very good at acting, then you need to learn everyone else's job too, because you also want to be able to talk with them. You want to be able to share ideas with them, so that way you're not just that person over there doing their one little job and walking away. And I feel that very much speaks to you as far as producing goes, because you say, okay, I am not a writer, but you delved into it enough to understand it to where now as a producer, you see things that I don't feel producers that also write may be noticing, that you might be noticing something different.
1000%. I am, and I own it, guys. Like, I'm nuts, but in a good way. I'm a psycho. I'm a Virgo. I'm a perfectionist, right? So, like what Jay just said, for anyone who's a filmmaker watching or whatever creative stuff you're doing, like, you are 100% correct, Jay. To the point where when I'm executive producing something or producing something and have my hands in it in that capacity, like, I'm the producer who, and my directors probably hate me for it, but especially when it's my project, I own it with Philly Chick Pictures. Like, I'm like, no, I need to do producer notes. Like, with every rough cut, you will get a plethora of notes from me, because I'm like, I mean, it's insane. It's almost like I'm an editor in some way, yet I'm not. I respect editing so much, and I would go nuts just sitting there. But I do that as a producer sometimes. So I believe a good producer, a real producer, not people who are just taking producing credits. I believe a good producer does know what you said, Jay, does know all the facets of the, I say this all the time, it's like a fine orchestra, and so the more knowledge I have, and which is why I've taken millions of classes, not millions, I'm exaggerating, but hundreds of classes over many years, workshops, to produce, to all of it. And let me say this, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I always find my favorite directors are the directors who either were once an actor at one point in time and then switched over to directing, or have taken, like you said, a class or something to educate themselves on acting. Because I've worked with a lot of technical directors, and I'm an actress because I don't trust myself. Any actors watching, you all think I'm very confident. I'm the most insecure actress ever, and I question and second guess myself all the time after 25 years of doing this professionally. I
Wait, so
know.
you're an actor, is what you're saying? Because I think that's every actor.
Well, I've worked with some who seem to be overtly confident.
But is that seen to be, or is that actually confident?
Great question. So both, it varies, right? And it's funny because I tend to find that a lot of times when I'm working opposite less seasoned actors, they tend to be the more like arrogant. They think they know more sometimes, and then the really seasoned ones, like here, I'll shout out to one actor that I've been blessed to work with on probably 7 different films and television. And he was one of the stars of the TV pilot that we did, right? We talked about this last year before the pandemic, which had to get halted, which is going back into production in the fall, that Mark Klebanoff and Christophe St. John wrote. Mark Klebanoff directed, Stripped, that I starred in opposite Casper Van Dien. So one of the other actors who is just one of my favorite actors in the world, Louis Mandylor from My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh, yes.
And so Louis is such an inspiration, Jay, and I want to say this to what you just said and stated and asked. So like Louis is so confident. I watch him and he's like mesmerizing every time. And I watch him and he's so seasoned and such a veteran in the industry that he will actually allow himself the time to experiment with different things on set, or to actually speak up and ask the director, may I try it this way? So I want to be more like that as I continue in the industry and become more of a veteran. Like I want that because I'm so insecure and I second guess, which throws me as an actress. Charles, oh, thank you so much.
That is you could put that on Brooke's business card. Just Brooke, so much personality. That is 100% true.
Jake, they don't even know I'm sick right now. This is like 50% of my crazy.
I told you though, your 50% is better than other people's 110. So look, your fans are just happy that you are here and talking. So we were talking earlier about people are very happy to be having entertainment at home again. Recently, one of your movies, The Second Age of Aquarius, just is available for rent on Amazon Prime, I believe. Now, where did this project be introduced to? Because you're also executive producer on it, correct?
I am. And so my darling friend, Stacey Lane Wilson, wonderful writer, director, she and Darren Gordon Smith, her other writing partner, had written this a long time ago. Shout out also to them as producers, and to Nancy Long, our main producer, and Nina Herton, our editor, and the list goes on and on. And so before the pandemic, so this, I want everyone to listen because this is what has transpired throughout the last couple of years. So prior to the pandemic, Stacey and Darren had this project. It's such a long story, but to make it as condensed as possible, they had it, they had gotten financing, and this happens all the time, you guys. Financing had turned around, some components had separated from the project. And so I remember Stacey and I at actually a signing and having this conversation, and her sharing with me as my friend, how disappointed she was that the film was supposed to get greenlit and then it didn't, and they're still raising financing. And of course, everyone knows me. I shouldn't say will never, because I have, but for the most part, I have no inspiration to produce or executive produce and run around and raise financing for projects that I'm not acting in. My acting is my first and foremost love in the industry. So long story long, I said to her, are there any roles for me to act in? Because I didn't know if there were, and she said, funny, there's a role that was originally written as a voiceover for the lead actress, lead star, Alberta, Christina Jacqueline Kauf. She's amazing. And Michael Ursu is the other amazing star, and he plays Russell Aquarius. So she said, there's a mother role that you would be great for. It's tiny, it's a few scenes, let's talk. So I said, Okay, so she said, but we can expand it and we can embellish it and put it on camera. I went, that's my kind of role. Let's talk. So I read the script. It was just the sweetest. It's such an indie gem. It is heartfelt. I always say it has heart and art. One of those special little projects that back in the day, could have been a slam dance contender. Now you're competing with 7 million films per year. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it was just the kind of film the kind of script, I should say, that I fall in love with because it just has just meaning and it's cross generational and covers all different eras, and it's just funny and smart. And Stacey and Darren are incredibly intellectual writers. So it inspired me. She said, we can put this on camera. I said, I'm in. And sometimes you guys like, it's so weird. It's, timing is so much too. Like at the time, a lot was going on. I had just finished producing my wedding for the 2 years prior and had taken off of acting producing. So I dove in fall of 19, dove into several projects, which then got pushed back because of pandemic. So that being said, again, timing wise, I had just gotten some money back from a project previously. So I had some money in Philly Chick Pictures. And then I had an opportunity through an associate to raise a little bit more money for financing through another company. So it was just like, everything has to meet. It's like, again, that perfect recipe. So I said to Stacey, embellish this role. Let's talk about it. What would be fun for me to play? And I'm being, for all the filmmakers out there, Jimmy and everyone included, like I'm being incredibly more specific the older I get. And I don't know if I want to say it's age. I want to say the more seasoned, the more veteran, the more experience. Like, I'm very clear. I'm not delusional like some actresses are. I'm not trying to be a sex pot in my 40s now, although I think women are sexy at 70. So let me clarify that. Christian, thank
Very
you.
much so.
Right? So you can be beautiful, sexy. It comes from within. I want to emphasize that at any age. So long story long, though, I'm very specific now about what parts I want to play because I want to step into the sexy character actress roles. And we probably talked about this last year, Jay. And that's what I'm doing. So kudos to the Second Age of Aquarius for allowing me and offering me the opportunity to play Tawny Stevens from Jersey, Alberta's video vixen from the 80s, rocker mom. It is adorable, hilarious, I think. And I just had so much fun. And she's in 3 scenes, but the kind of character that I play and I work with, shout out to Tim Phillips, my brilliant acting coach, who taught Robert Duvall, by the way, like yes, and Glenn Close, the kind of roles that I love to create and delve into and build and have fun with. So there's that. And everybody can check it out on Amazon Prime, on Vudu, on everywhere, iTunes, Google Plus. Go for it. It came out in February.
It is definitely one of those ones that everybody needs to check out, especially for your wonderful performance. It doesn't matter number of scenes because the fact that you could be in one moment, and if you are good and memorable, you are going to steal that title away from people quite often. But as you said, the amazing ensemble that you're talking about in this, one of the things I truly love about you as an actor and as a person is the fact that when it comes down to it, you are very passionate about your art and what you want to give and what you want to do. But at the same time, you are very humble about making sure everyone around you feels that they are the star. And lots of people have said that about you. A good friend of mine was lucky enough to work with you on one of, I believe, your most recent awards, a Telly Award. Cody, my good
Cody
friend
Star.
Cody Stark. Good Day Sacramento, Cody Stark, who I just rewatched your segment Masquerades again right before the interview because of the fact that I just, your personality always comes across no matter what, and that's what I adore about you. And you made that man feel like he was just getting to talk with a good friend and a brilliant person. So thank you for just being you.
Jay, I'm very emotional. I've been really sick, and you're gonna make me cry. And you know how
Well,
emotional I am. Thank you.
I don't
And
wanna I don't wanna make you cry at all. I wanna talk about something that
wait,
I
you know what?
feel.
No, they're tears of emotional joy and fulfillment. So I want
Okay.
to say thank you so much, and shout out to Cody Stark, who always makes me feel like a superstar. So thank you to Cody Stark. He is so talented too, and part of my Sacramento family now. So, and yes, we won a communicator award and a Telly award because I was a guest on all the news segments during COVID, and we were promoting wearing masks. Thank you guys so much.
Uh, it was it was a very good cause and a very good segment to be able to do with that. Now, so you mentioned earlier that part of your drive probably comes from the fact that you're a Virgo and a perfectionist. Uh, can we also say that part of that equation may be the fact that you're originally from Philly?
Hell to the Philly, yes.
Because
No, hell to the Philly, yeah.
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
you've been how long was it last year you were inducted into the Philadelphia Entertainment or Entertainer Hall of Fame?
Do you believe it? January of 2021, they acknowledged, they reached out, they had been fans for a long time, and they said, you're nominated. And then the board there votes, and they said, you are being inducted. And I thought I was going to pass out, to be honest, because I'll leave it to you, Jay, to acknowledge the other people from Philly
I
who
was
are
gonna
with
say
me.
that.
What?
When you're looking at M. Night Shyamalan, when you're looking at Tina Fey, Jill Scott, Richard Gere, Grace Kelly, Patti LaBelle, of course, Will Smith, DJ Jazzy Jeff, Kobe Bryant, Bradley
Uh,
Cooper, Kevin Bacon, Kevin Hart. You are now 1 degree away from Kevin Bacon because you are literally in a Hall of Fame with him. Is there something in the water? Is it the cheesesteak? What is it that helps push you with that?
uh, you know, great, Jay, as always. Thank you for your incredibly deep, important questions. So, I think I can only speak for myself, but I'm probably speaking for a lot of the Philly people as well, that like, it's interesting because I always, let me say this, and it might sound hokey or spiritual or whatever, but I really do believe that we are a product of our upbringing, of our environment, of our culture, of our history, of our hereditary, life. And it makes us who we are, for better or worse. And trust me, like, I think I got the goods being a scrappy, tenacious Philly on in the big city chick. However, it also gives me my mouthiness and my, brotherly love. Don't mess with me, don't mess with people I love, or you're in trouble. So that kind of thing. I see all the fans going crazy.
Oh yeah.
So I think though, so for me, and trust me, and I share this with anyone who, and I'm honest with my feelings, so I want to say this, and Jay, I know you're going to agree. Anyone who, I've lived in LA for 20 years in Hollywood. I have friends who are megastars. I have friends who came from very famous nepotism families. I have friends who married famous directors, and they always seem to get a leg up. They come from a big trust fund, what have you. So
Yeah.
I'm guilty. I've sat in my office staring at my palm trees here, guilty of envy at times, saying, but why not me? Why? And I'm so grateful and blessed for my career, but I've had to work for every ounce of it, right? My family's incredible. They're all back east. And hi, Jason, I love you. They're all back east, my family, and they give us the world, but I didn't come from a Hollywood nepotism family, so it doesn't help me in business, right? So that being said, like, I go, well, it's kind of not fair, and life is just not fair, and this industry is so not fair, and it's really not fair these days. We can talk about that later, but we stay on the positive. I then rewind and go, I am a scrappy, big city, Philly, Jersey, having to think on your toes, having to dig down, vamp it out, as Ms. Vampy would say, dig deep, find the courage, find the strength. It gives me a sense of integrity, loyalty, knowing what's truly important. And my mistakes, my failures, my really crappy experiences. And I've had a lot of challenges in my life, health, financial at times, like really challenging experiences have made me who I am. I'm going to cry right now. I really am. Because, like, sometimes it's like I find myself, even especially as a producer, and anyone who's worked with me, any of my directors, I am a find it, fix it, find solutions person. And when so many people throw in the towel and so many people are like, it can't be done, it can't happen. That's how Ms. Vampy was born. Can't happen. Oh my God, you're a horror icon. You're like an Elvira. How can you be a positive role model to teen girls? Watch me, I say. I will find a way. And I've always been, I love the word scrappy, because that's what Philly teaches you. You're like, okay, again, you're handed lemons, you make lemonade, or you don't do it, you fall, you fail, you either pick yourself up again or you bounce. That's it. That's all I know.
I love that in the same interview, you can look me in the eye and say that as an actress, you second guess yourself. And then at the same time, you are a fighter. And when it comes down to it, nobody's handed you, forgive my language, but shit, nobody's
No.
handed you anything. You've gone out there and earned it. So when you get these people, all these fans who are constantly talking to you in here and on Twitter and on all your social media, when you have all of these compliments, I know the actor mind, but does it ever ease that second guessing when you realize you're here for a reason? You're in that placement for a reason because you put yourself there.
Thank you so much. I just think it's me. It's who I am. It's innate in me. I'm so hard on myself. I'm not critical of others. That's the funny thing. I'm very supportive, as you know, Jay, of others. I'm very critical of myself. It will never be good enough. I will never be good enough. That's actually a line from A Voice in Violet, which is so profound. So and I also, let me say this, and I say this humbly, Jay, and to the viewers, like, I came from a world, and I was very fortunate because I don't know that this world exists so much anymore. But 25 years ago, when I started like professionally acting in New York, I mean, I was signed with Paradigm. I was signed with top tier agencies because I was a moneymaker very young in Tony and Tina's Wedding off Broadway in New York City. So, and I was working a ton and doing raw indie films, but I made more money as an actress back then than I do now consistently, right? So that said, I say it because, I mean, at one point I was signed with William Morris at the time for print and commercial. So that's the level. I was sitting at 21 years old in offices in New York at the head of Fox and Warner Brothers. They used to be called general meetings. I say this because that's the world I know. I know the money-making world when I worked, on a Fox sitcom, Quintuplets, for a few weeks and made a lot of money, right, as Gina Grisano. So I know that world. Then my world took a turn and I got really into the indie film world, and especially the horror and sci-fi genre worlds. And I love them and I embrace them, but it's very different than the Hollywood business. And so why I say that is I'm hard on myself now because I know what it's like to have my own trailer, to have my own space in a honey wagon many times. So I'm not in delusion land. Like, respectfully, I think a lot of artists these days, you think a young woman goes out, she's untrained in any way. She goes on and becomes a YouTube star or a TikTok star by posing in a thong. I think we probably talked about this last year, and I'm not judging. What I'm making a comparison and discerning. So you become like a, viral star now for doing nothing of art and merit, respectfully. So I know a very different world. So for me, if I'm not on a network, or now preferably a Netflix, Hulu, or Apple TV series, I'm not achieving the goals that I had back in the day and aspire to have again. So for me, I'm always being hard on myself, thinking I can do better. Now, that being said, if I may, real quickly, and I want to just make sure I get in a shout out to this film. So I mentioned I hadn't been on a film set in 2 years. I took a chance because I love these people, are like my film and real life family to Robbie Bryan and Christy Botello, my I Murders family, my I Murders director, Robbie Bryan. Too long a story, but last year he had come to me and and bless them, they went through some stuff. His father had passed away, and he got inspired to write like a tribute, whether it's a TV pilot or a short film, what have you, titled Pergies. And he said, you know, we love you, we're family, we support each other, we want you to be in this. And so he wrote me a role, and it's such a long story. And again, nobody's even heard about this just yet. We're about to release that we wrapped. So he said, I'm going to write you, you know, one of the ensemble lead roles, and opposite with the stars actually are Richard Reel, veteran character actor Richard Reel, who's brilliant in everything, and Arnold Chun, who is just incredible, the man from High Castle.
Yeah.
So yes, so these incredible actors. I mean, they did this. This was like more like a TV pilot than a short film, because they did it for more than what we've spent sometimes on feature films. Let me say that, like the budget, the production value. Oh, they had, a 60-person cast and crew. Tested everyone, everything was great. So that was the one chance I took for one day to go onto a set. That being said, this is why I'm saying this. So this was a moment, and I swear to you, and I'm joking, but I joked with Robbie Bryan, and I said, I think this is why I got sick again. I'm not even kidding. I actually joked with Tim Phillips, my acting coach, but for all the actors watching, I know you will understand. And I was real quickly inspired once by Jane Fonda, watching a video that she said in her entire career, and this is Jane Fonda, she could identify like 5 moments, as an actor, where she knew she was in the moment. She was so in it, embraced in it, embellished in it, just where you're almost having like an out of body experience. So any actors watching, feel free to chime in and post stuff, like, because it's unbelievable. And I've only known those a few times too, but Pergies was one of these moments. It's extremely dramatic, extremely dark, very fantasy, has a very supernatural fantasy element. I'm not allowed to spoil or too much, but my character, I can say this, opens the film at a bar, and I was a very powerful, like, CFO of a business, like very powerful woman executive. And I had one shot left to get pregnant. I was married. I get pregnant. It is the joy of my life. It is my dream. I get into the car with my husband. I'm being careful, but I get into the car with my
Yeah.
husband. Bad choice. He's drunk, and kill my unborn child. It is that
Oh,
dark. Yes, cringe.
that's an
So
open?
that's the opening. So, well,
Ooh.
that's the backstory, and then
Yeah.
it goes from there. I can't say anything else. That said, it was so intense. One of the most intense roles of my life and career. I'm telling you, it made me sick. And I worked on this so hard, and I was so in it, so in it, so in this character, so feeling emotion. Robbie and I cried together. Christy, the producer, and I cried together. The crew was crying, and I knew, segueing back, Jay, I knew, I'm going to cry again. That was one of the most precious actor moments that I actually can humbly say I knew I hit my beat. I knew I hit my mark. It stayed with me for a month after. I'm telling you, I think it's why I've been like sick. It was that, like, and now I understand. I'm not saying I'm some Oscar winning actress, by far I'm not, but I understand more when actors know their value and their strengths. Oh, thank you, Brian. Oh my God.
I
Oh,
love
what
that
I looked at.
question,
Great,
Brian.
great. We'll get to
So,
the questions. Okay, I'll
yeah.
stop. I'll shut up. But that's what I'm saying, Jay. Like, it was just, that's when I know. And I've only felt that a few times in my career.
Uh, I, what you said, as far as any actor watching will understand what you're saying with that statement. I myself have been lucky enough to feel it only a couple of times. I'm like you originally started. I am a stage performer, so I know how that feels, and that it's amazing that you bring that up. Brian's question. I love Brian's question. Let's go to his first before the question I wanted to ask really bad. But so Brian asked the question, so who would you like to portray in a biopic?
Oh, wow. Okay, so you guys know I'm obsessed. My forever obsession is Elizabeth Taylor. You know
Yeah.
that. And Mae West. You know that. So I would have to say them. As of like a current date, I think I'd play a pretty good Paula Abdul.
Ooh, I think you could. I,
right?
I I personally, as soon as you said everybody knows you're obsessed with Elizabeth Taylor, I'm like, yeah, but I really want to see you play Mae West. I
Oh,
as I think you would pull off a brilliant, both the internal struggle that she had in everyday life, but also the talent that came across on stage, and the unbridled, dare I say, womanness of who Mae West is, and she never apologized or let anybody make her feel bad about it. And I think that's you to a T.
thank you.
So
I love what you said. She was a real broad. And this as a writer, she fought and fought the system in Hollywood. She was one of the first female screenwriters ever
oh
to
yeah,
have to be put on film.
she just an amazing talent, and I feel not a lot of people, especially in this generation, you mentioned TikTok and the TikTok age, I don't think everybody knows who that is. So the idea, and who knows, maybe Philly Chick Productions are gonna have to look at does anybody even have the rights to a Mae West story? Who knows? Maybe it's time for you to pull that out.
Do you
uh,
know, real quickly, do you know I have her exact body measurements? She was
really?
5 feet tall. Yes, exact and very voluptuous.
Yes, I did not realize that they were exact. That's amazing.
Exact.
So if we go to a Hollywood auction and we find a Mae West costume, you can get that right away, is what you're saying.
Send
No
it my way.
alterations needed. One of my absolute favorite things about you, no matter what is going on in this world, whether it was when I got to talk to you towards the beginning of the pandemic or now towards an unfortunate resurgence to a degree, but no matter what, you have this phrase that you like to keep saying, which is, I like to stay positive. Let's stay positive. So in this world where titles and semantics are quite often debated as far as how people perceive them, the term scream queen used to be said as a very negative connotation, and then it was a positive one, but from fans only, and now it's really changed. So in your career itself, it's gone through that. How is it with that title for you? Do you adhere that I am a scream queen like I introduced you as, or is it going away from that? What do you feel?
So, I said this at the Spike TV Scream Awards years ago. To me, a scream queen is a sexy, powerful actress in a horror film or television. Now, it's really interesting because I must give props to the icon scream queens who came way before me. I came in at an interesting time. My most relevant, when I stepped into thrillers on Showtime and with Kinky Killers and I Murders on Stars, and was 2007, 8, 9, 10. Then that was my most relevant time when I broke out, and I sadly feel it was sort of the last of the opportunity to kind of step into that indie celebrity fame, whatever you want to call it, scream queen. I mean, with my peers, with the younger girls, I mean, Serena Vincent, and like all my Bowling for Boobies people, Serena Vincent, but also like my friends like Devaney Pinn, Jessica Cameron, all of these, Natalie Victoria, like all the younger, that generation, because the other greats came long before me. Even I came a little bit before them, but they came long before, like Debbie Rochon. I mean, people I love and work with. And you're talking about Tiffany Shepis and Felissa Rose and Caroline Williams, and the list goes on and on. And then you're talking
Yeah.
about, even let's go to the people who, as a little girl, inspired me and made me love horror films, from Jamie Lee Curtis to me, Nancy Allen. We talked about that. I always wanted to play Sally in Blowout, that was filmed in Philly. So, getting to your answer, so it's a really weird mix, because I think my generation was the last to be respected in that sense before everything, because remember, that was before Instagram, before TikTok. So it was before people had the digital and internet ability to call themselves. And this is where I stand strong in this, because I'm honored with the title. To me, I always say it was bestowed upon me by the horror community and the industry in Hollywood, not just me going on TikTok or wherever and pouring, ketchup on my boobs and running around like an idiot. Like, that's just not my thing. And so, like, that's where I think it took a turn because it became popular. Now, to cross over even further, where I think it's become more respected, revered, and makes me very proud, albeit Ryan Murphy, you need to call me. Like, when Ryan Murphy with American Horror Story and Scream Queens, the TV series, network TV series, because he loves horror, it's almost like and Ratchet, and like he almost recreated horror for the television world and recreated it with mainstream stars. You look at like Lily Rabe, you look at like oh my god, I'm totally escaping right now. Who's Ratchet?
Yeah.
My mind's like, what's her name?
Uh,
I know we're gonna both forget.
see,
Anyway,
the second that you say it, yeah.
okay. Oh, so anyway, I know we're coming up short on time, but you know what I'm talking about. So like, you have these incredible major Kathy Bates and Angela Bassett and all the ones I love. So it has now become an honor again to be a scream queen. And I am so grateful that I'm invited in.
Yes. Now, I do know we have to wrap up, but since we're talking about Scream Queens and we're talking about that where your career path is, we had the wonderful question about the idea of who you would play as a biopic, and Brian agrees that yes, Paula Abdul, I think you could pull off well. I think you have a lot of fun playing Paula Abdul as well.
Yes.
So we are in this resurgence of not so much reboots, but horror franchises from a while ago coming back and continuing their original story. So in those, a lot of times people will place other horror icons as cameo performances or smaller roles, things like that. Is there any type of world of horror that you would like to play around in if that came your way?
I mean, look, the Scream franchise. So let's just acknowledge that because you're talking about that, and I'm going to be honest again. I mean, I went to the drive-in to see the new Scream version, and I didn't love it at all. It's never. That's my era. That's my generation. Go Nev Campbell, like that, and Courtney Cox and David Arquette, like the original Scream. You cannot touch that to me.
Oh yeah.
You cannot touch it, right? So, but would that be a world I'd love to play in? 100%. More importantly, my dreams have always been to make it, successfully on television. So to act in any Ryan Murphy show, honestly, if I could be on one line in American Horror Story, I'm good. I'm good.
Well, then anybody who is watching today who has Ryan Murphy's phone number, you know who he needs to contact, because one of the greatest Scream Queens ever needs to be on American Horror Story or any project that Ryan Murphy is moving forward with. I mean, come on.
Anything.
You were saying that Stripped is coming soon.
So it's on hold right now since the pandemic, but it's good news because we have a really great TV distributor. So we're going to shoot like full seasons, probably in the fall. It won't be out till next year. But real quickly, shout out to Red Rooms. Speaking of pandemic, Joshua Butler and I, Red Rooms, our virtual streaming series that we shot throughout the pandemic. We have a distribution deal. I've worked my butt off for the last year on this, and we don't have a street date yet. But Jay, it's coming this summer.
Well,
it's
then
coming
be
this
watching
summer.
Brooke Lewis Bellas' Twitter. Make sure that you're following. Make sure that you find out when that announcement happens, so you can be one of the first ones seeing this amazing, talented individual.
Thank you. Yes, me with David Alpay and Susan Lanier from the original Hills Have Eyes and Ricky Dean Logan and Noah Blake. It is such a fun, micro-budgeted streaming web series, limited. I know the horror fans are going to take to this. Check out Red Rooms. Keep a lookout. Follow me. Yes.
If there's any genre that loves micro-budgeted, it is horror.
It is horror. One other quick shout out. I know we have to go, and then we're gonna do real quickly. I also have to shout out another horror icon director, Greg Lamberson. We worked all through the pandemic too. I couldn't go into Buffalo to act in it, but he let me get filmed on green screen. Guns of Eden action film, but all the Slime City Massacre fans are still gonna love it. A lot of action. So Guns of Eden will be out. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the distributor yet, but
let's just not, just in case. How's that?
Yes. So it'll be out by the fall.
It's safe.
Yes.
Okay, so real quick, I know you have some autographs to give away before we close out completely. Brooke, do you have the first trivia question you want to shout out for everyone?
So let's make it easy. How about who did I star opposite in the I Murders mystery? I played Lori Romano, the detective, who played my detective partner, everyone.
Let's see. Any fans chiming in?
Are they still here? Did we lose you because I talked so much?
No, they love hearing you. What are you saying? They tune in. They get upset when I interrupt you. That's what it is.
Not true. Not true. Hi, guys. Are you still here? You know what? They're Googling it.
There we go. Oh,
Jason!
Jason comes out with Tony Todd. All right.
Okay.
So, we had I've got another trivia question for fans because I had one pull out. So we mentioned it briefly, very quickly in passing. However, Brooke wrote an amazing book about being a life coach. What was the title? She already gave it.
Ooh.
Watch, Jason's going to try and get a second autographed one. I guarantee it. He wants 2 autograph pictures so he can have one of each 8x10 that you have. Come on.
And there were so many great people. We can honor Charlie and Kenny, whoever else you can go through after, and we can honor whoever started commenting.
People. The name of the self-help, the life coach book that Brooke wrote. All right, so we are running short on time. I know that when it comes down to it, we are going to have somebody jump in here. The first person that answers in the comments will be the person that gets the autograph. Gorgeous photo.
You can choose.
Somebody popped up with part of the title. Molt popped up with hot mess.
Yes.
Is enough of the title. This is wonderful. There you go.
Coaching from a professed hot mess. Do we have time for one more? Who's next? Who's in this photo with me from Kinky Killers? Anyone know? What veteran, wonderful actor who played Eddie in the Cruisers?
Oh. Let's see.
Anyone?
Eddie and the Cruisers.
All right.
So we will take the first comment in there. Hey, look, we thought we had time for 2. We got 3 autographs out there. Wonderful.
There you go.
All right.
And you let me know what photo they want too.
We will let you know automatically. Brooke, I gotta thank you again. When you said this morning that you weren't feeling well, I was so worried I wasn't going to get a chance to talk with you. But you are just a delight and a joy every time, and I'm so thankful. And I know all of your amazing fans out here are very thankful that you took the time to be with us today. So thank you, and we all hope that you recover well and quickly, and cannot wait to see you on the screen again.
Thank you so much.
For halfway to Halloween, Brooke Lewis Bellas.